only in Turkey, but Mesut Hakkı, Caşın, in the international level is an international actor and it's an international name in this regard. So I'd like to give the floor to him. He said the part of his presentation is Turkey's mediation role in establishing ceasefire and peace in the Ukraine. The Russian war, the floor is yours, sir.
Yeni rolün üzerinde duracaklar.
So he will be focusing on the diplomatic role of Turkey. Now I would like to leave the floor to Professor Caşın. Thank you very much to esteemed Commander ASSAM and everyone who contributed in the organization of this event. Yes, Turkey right now is in a very important process and acts as a key actor. This, of course, influences our foreign policy. And the most important element here is the grains corridor. And Turkey plays as a mediating role in establishing a ceasefire. If it's okay for you, I would like to deliver the presentation in English.
Here, Turkey may play the mediation role, establishing ceasefire and sustainable peace. And it is very critical when you are observing here in Istanbul, the UN Secretary General here, and Mr. Zelensky for the work here, and even though Mr. Putin visited Ankara, and also our president visited Kiev, together the UN Secretary General, in order to establishment of the peace. The problem is what about the global impact of the war in Ukraine substantially growing? How can we go ahead worldwide and must be reversed the dangerous spiral? If go ahead like this, many civilian casualties killed, according to the US side, they say 100,000 people killed in this bloody warfare. The Russia's attack on Ukrainian cities have created red alert and quick to respond on events reaction. National scale of the war, Russian violation red line. And the NATO member of the Turkey, the stance of the Russian-Ukraine war based on the preventing a wider conflict. Assessing the Turkey wants to maintain stable relations with both countries in resolving the war. Ukraine and Russia will have consequences that they affect the future of countries to Turkey. Turkey is saying like this consult the passage upon the request, the ally of the NATO, and said Ankara close the Bosphorus Dardanelles Strait under the Montreux Convention. You know that the final, a couple days ago, Turkey didn't give the two main battle warships, the Russians, in order to ongoing the warfare. The first international level approach to Turkey's ongoing the Russia-Ukraine war and strengthen the limitation managing the international conflicts, even though both countries in the Black Sea. We are the pay to further escalation, saying like this, Mrs. Di Carlo, the ambassador of the United Nations, is that Russia will rise of the war. This is the very dangerous point in order to enlarge the warfare. The escape of the further escalation, which can cause more suffering to the people of Ukraine, Russia, and the rest of the world. Many civilians, including the Kiev and Dnipro and Zaporozhye, they're killing a lot of people since the Russian missile attacks. What is the Russian-Ukraine war? The peaceful resolution in Ukraine and Article 33 in UN Charter. I'm looking as a lawyer in this destruction of the current war. If Turkey undertakes such a difficult task, Moscow and Kiev will be accepted this peaceful solution. Just beyond the Russian-Ukraine war, Turkey made great efforts to play the role of mediator in the Black Sea Straits. Turkey recently emerged reasonable and also rational diplomatic player since looking the historical neighbor of the two countries. You remember that the Turkey role mediator international relations, even though by the Israel and Syria, and even though in the Gaza province, and they carry out the 2008 Russia and Georgia war. Turkey interrupted between the Russia and also Georgia war, and then even though it will be exploded between the NATO and the Russia in closing again the straits. The Turkey cooperative election, both sides contended, condemning Russia, not choosing any side. This is number one. Turkey critiques Russia aggression against the Ukraine. It has been included in NATO and EU. On the other hand, President Erdogan said the significant step will be made when looking and this as soon as the warfare and the Erdogan Russia Putin willing to end war. This is the good news when going to the Astana, Mr. President. As a Black Sea country to Turkey, they're looking at the geopolitical and regulation of mass migration chaos. A lot of the Ukrainian citizens living in today in Turkey, and even though many European countries. And Ukrainian soldiers examine the anti-tank mines and looking the Germans, realize the Russian gas, the easy is energy. This frozen, the conflict is going to for Germany is a kind of the winter war, and Turkey is worried about. Russia maybe included tactical nuclear weapons in the battlefield. You remember that Russia made one military exercise, the possible nuclear warfare and tactical meaning. When you're looking the France side, France former ambassador, he says Turkish diplomacy has been flawless since the beginning of the war. And he evaluated interest, established a balance between the two countries. And even though President Erdogan, unique role mediator, defend both sides in time of war. As above mentioned, Erdogan can now take credit of playing a direct role in orchestrating the only two tangible agreements, such as the Moscow and between the Kiev. Now, I joined the Antalya Forum. Two countries, foreign ministers come, even though that's the clock time of the warfare. And Turkey back signed Istanbul in July about the beacon of hope, the Antonio Guterres saying like this grain, the agreement between the Ukraine and Russia and even the Turkey. And again, the Turkey accomplished to change the president of warfare and Russian outlet in the Mariupol. It was again in terms of the humanitarian law, all these is big achievement by the international law. I am looking like this, these fights, the Turkey mediation role, and when you're looking Article 33, the confusing among the political and military interests, diplomatic methodologies, negotiation, mediation and good office, commission on inquiry and conciliations. When you're looking mediation, arbitration, it is very important the regulation when in remembering of the Minsk agreement can contribute to elimination effective mediation. It first requires good diplomatic and political preparation. You remember that in the Minsk agreement, the France and also the Germany couldn't accomplish to die and realize that mediation and peace and like this, these five solutions, peaceful supporting the one side. It should be supported to public opinion. In my idea, both sides, Ukraine and Russian, the population is supported Turkey's arbitration role. The third important parameter is the mediating state can say it's a kind of the contribute solution, conflict ending process. It can produce more durable, sustainable solution and objective and looking the international peace and security and justice. In any case, it is very important, impartial and objective mediator can constitute rational, sustainable, responding to needs the state resolution, preventing for the value interests of the parties. In this regard, we remember that the Turkey can do all of it. And when looking, can Turkey assume of natural mediator in Russian-Ukraine war, despite the several sanctions, US and EU against the Moscow occupation Ukrainian territory. The cold climatic condition is almost tomorrow coming, and this should be led to loss a lot of civilian casualties. Ukrainian humanitarian maybe go ahead like this humanitarian catastrophe. But in my idea, from the military, the perspective, one of the most important points, the worst case scenario, the tactical nuclear weapons could open the dark curtain of confrontation between NATO and Russia. Could Russia use tactical nuclear weapons? You remember that two sides like these weapons, and the President Putin telling, use all of weapon system available to us if Russia territorial integrity is threatened. Putin characterized the existing battle against the West. He said, once we can divide and destroy the Russia, because President Biden critiques the Putin's overt nuclear threats against Europe. Meanwhile, the Secretary General of the NATO saying like this, downplay the threat, knows very well the nuclear war should never be fought, cannot be won. I agree this position, but when looking Turkey, accomplished parties stable on the Antalya negotiation, realize the grain corridor agreement, and third success, prisoner swap, the pursuit successful and admirable roadmap healing the wounds of the war. However, Turkey is a Black Sea country, and we are looking both brotherhood countries should become together as soon as to the peace table. As a political leader of the NATO country, Erdogan continues to negotiate also diplomatic dialogue with the Putin and Zelensky despite his difficulties. Turkey's failure to accomplish difficult tasks may be lead prolongation of the war, as well as open the door to intensification of the more dangerous are and the irreversible cliffs. I'm looking like this. Dear sir, the Turkey is granted the convention signed in 36, and Turkey may be provided passage to straits. Why? This should be is a kind of a new warfare between the NATO and Russia. In this regard, Ankara quickly invoked the Montreux Convention, the Dardanelles and Bosphorus closed the warships. As we continue this position, ongoing the position, and grain corridor enabled the ships to arrive to Ukraine port. Be careful, the Black Sea Grain Initiative stabilized the lower global food crisis and prices, and also other foods exported to reach the high level of both countries and the Ukraine side. As a point, Ankara extremely sensitive and technical balance is strictly important mediating role, following the positive approach to ensuring the mining by the Black Sea and the excess of the Ukraine basic wide and exports to world market. When you look at military terms and the Black Sea security, Ukraine-Russia grain treaty, very important. When you're looking international of the sea, the treaty looking safety at sea, number one, by the coastal states, according to safe passages should be for humanitarian purposes. Another idea is decide a safe corridor without removing Ukrainian Coast Guard mines. Grain tankers prohibited 300 nautical miles follow up from Ukraine ports to the Black Sea of the Turkish Straits. This is a big accomplishment. According to Article 54 and 6 Vienna treaties, the legal right to suspend the convention. When you're looking, you remember last week there is one attack in the Sevastopol. New missile attack similar to response to offensive. And the Black Sea, this is bringing new kinds of the warfare using the robotic weapons. This is CEASEFIRE, the negotiations will be impacted time, and US regress to Russia's suspension of participation, broker Black Sea Grain Initiative operations. The grain more than today is 9 million metric tons food go ahead, the lower prices to the world marketing. Turkey announced the grain shipments Black Sea will resume with the Russia's agreement, and it start again. This is a very good news for the both sides. The Mr. Erdogan saying grain will continue through the plan, and we do it. And Putin said that Russia will not block the supply of the grain. This is accomplishment of the Turkish leadership in the diplomatic manners. Even though when you're looking like this, the Secretary General Antonio saying like this, following return the grain deal, the Antonio Blinken thanks to the Turkey for restoring function in the grain corridor. Even though we have a lot of problems with the United Nations, they do what are they doing to Turkey and leadership role of the Mr. Erdogan in terms of the international peace and security. Turkey is neutralized the U.S. government of the USN, important mediator between Russia and Ukraine. Okay, Mr. Chairman, when you're looking at the conclusion, come on, please. Turkey is done with the shuttle diplomacy between Kyiv and Moscow, and before an ongoing warfare time. NATO is stayed natural through in the Black Sea neighbors, and the shuttle diplomacy followed the solution of the crisis. As when you're looking at the conclusion, where are we and what can be done? President Erdogan met with Zelensky, and he says, very important point, we don't want to have another Chernobyl disaster in Turkey. This is the real position of the Turkey. You remember that if the Russians attacked the Zaporozhye or the Ukraine by using tactical war, this should be is a kind of a new war. When you're looking at the conclusion, be careful. Turkey looking independent policy regarding Russian-Ukraine war, trying to prevent escalation of the tension through the diplomatic means and to contribute to resolution of the crisis. And even though Ankara offered to mediate between the two sides, it is very critical when you're looking Western and other allies, such as the UN, work on the establishment immediate CEASEFIRE agreement between Ukraine and Russia, and even though Turkey offered compulsory mediation. This is the geographical reality and the position with Ukraine support to the NATO and EU, and even the US increased its trade. Describing Russian invasion unacceptable violation of international law, Turkey says we cannot accept the invasion of the Crimea. Trying to formulate steps carefully in order to jeopardize its good relationship with the Russia in energy and defense and territory. As a result, Turkey played a vital role, and the Black Sea grain is a big accomplishment. And even though looking when the Black Sea economic commercial devastation caused to continue the war, and then many soldiers lost their life. As a result, Ukraine will need negotiations. They have to return to the table as soon as the honorable, sustainable peace accord the Black Sea. Turkey looking as a peace accords. Erdogan said, I always said a just peace can be achieved through diplomacy, and a just peace will not lose if there is a winner of war. Intensive efforts have won appreciation for all the world. As a result, I am saying that Turkey is always aimed at peace and law brotherhood. Mr. Erdogan today, he says, we can open a corridor of peace from the grain corridor. It will be wrong to set a time limit. Russia is that ordinary state. It's a powerful state that the West, especially America, is attacking to Russia without the limits. Of course, Russia is currently against it. We are saying always, we are in the looking brotherhood, peace at home in the war. And I am saying to special thanks, Mr. Chairman, for you take care of myself. And I hope if you have any question, I am ready to answer it.
Kıymetli hocam, biz de bu değerli değerlendirmeleriniz için
Thank you very much for this valuable presentation. If there are any questions, we may collect them ourselves, and if we allow 3 to 4 minutes at the end of the presentation, we can maybe ask them to you. Of course, Professor Caşın studies a lot on current development, diplomatic progress, and he told us about the importance of Turkey's diplomatic role and the mediating role between the conflict of Russia and Ukraine. So he stressed how important this role